levels for you, going over some ES, NQ trades, evaluating the overall market, giving out some, some plays on what we see that is setting up, some trade ideas that we think are a good idea. We'll take some trades live. Right now, we're going to be trading a prop firm account that is completely, basically brand new, unfunded. I took 2 trades on Friday just to make sure everything was sending through right and working right. So we're going to take that one, hopefully from brand new account to passing the test, getting it funded, and take a payout live here with all of you. So we'll see how that goes. We are using Take Profit Trader today. I have the code MITT, Market Insights Trading Trends, is what it stands for. You can use on Take Profit Trader, Take Top One Futures, and a few other places. So we'll talk about that later, but for now, we're just going to go over the overall market, get an idea of what everything's looking like. We're a few minutes from open. We'll take a look at our levels and see what trades are setting up, and we'll go from there. So pulling up the charts now. First one we're going to look at is MNQ. That's the futures index for NASDAQ 100, or other known as QQQ. As you can see, we opened the futures pretty low last night, but we've been getting a lot of buying from that open. Just looking at the volume down here at the bottom, already more buying volume than we had on Friday. So that's interesting. We did go ahead and set a new low in our trend that we had here. We were kind of setting new lows. Similar high here, we set a lower high, and now we have a lower low. So it's kind of looking like we're setting up a downtrend, but like I said, with all this buying volume, this massive wick here, we could get another bounce up into these resistance before we continue lower. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll move in on the hourly chart and see what we have here. Yeah, as you can see on the hourly chart, it's looking like we're pushing, trying to make a V-shaped recovery here, but still got a lot to determine here. And these probably first 30 minutes open are going to be crucial. We probably are going to sit completely in cash first 30 minutes into open and make a decision there. We'll mark some levels, mark our opening range, look for an opening range breakout, retest. So that's all we really have on MNQ right now. It's looking really interesting for the day. Hopefully we get some good movement. Mondays can sometimes be slow, as I'm sure anybody who's been in the markets knows. Again, looking at MES, which is, actually we'll just go ES. Let's just go ES, we'll look at that. Looking pretty similar to NQ. I'd say a little less volume overall than NQ, which is to be expected, but same setup. This is interesting. We went and set a new low here, but this one's not nearly as low as the NQ was, touching that low we had back in November of 2025. So keep an eye on that one. Hourly chart looks pretty similar. We actually broke at 5 a.m. We broke over where we opened at, but rejected pretty hard above that. It's looking like ES is having a lot of problems trying to clear right around 6,690-ish level, maybe 91 level. So we'll keep an eye on that. If we reject here again and go down and test lows down here, this could be a pretty choppy day within this range that we kind of had from open till now. So keep an eye there. We'll look at some stocks. I got a notification that HIMS, if anybody's tracking that, is up significantly. And we actually just got market open, so we can see where everything's opening at now. So looking at open, HIMS opened up at 2310, up from, let's see, 1550 is what we closed at on Friday. So that's a huge jump. That should have some impact on the market. We'll go ahead and look at how this opening candle is looking for NQ. Pushing pretty good here, good volume. Keep an eye on this. Let me pull up some inside bars that we have for today. Got a handy list of those. Door had inside bar on both the weekly and the daily. Ooh. Okay, so if anybody's watching Open or trading on Open Door Technologies, that is, good play to watch here. We are currently breaking out of our inside bar setup that we had. So as you can see, Friday's candle is completely inside that massive green candle we got on Thursday, and now we're breaking outside of both the bar on Friday and this bar on Thursday with this open here on Open. It's starting to go down. I would watch this on maybe the 5 or the 15. If we get a good pullback above, honestly, anything above 485, 490, I'd look for a nice entry. Watch for this reject again up above here, and we could pull back down and retest these. But we're just now going in the Open, 3 minutes in, so sitting in cash, we're going to keep an eye on everything. We'll keep taking a look at all the futures, see where we get here in these first 30 minutes, which will be crucial for telling us how today's going to shape out. This is interesting though. ES has got a lot of selling pressure. And Q's got some more buying. So it looks like tech today is starting off strong. Commodities, everything else is potentially struggling. Let's check and see what the Russell 200 futures are looking like. Okay, wow. The Russell 200, which is the index fund that tracks IWM, which is more growth stocks, growth names. And it looks like those names are getting even more buying than, I would say, ES for sure. It's right up there with tech. So these could be our leaders for the day. We'll pull up actually IWM and take a look at that as well. Okay, that's interesting. IWM is pretty much flat from open. We gapped down massively. So we'll have to keep an eye on these. This could be an interesting trade. Okay, just taking a quick look at NQ here on the 15-minute chart. It's still only 5 minutes in the open, so I'm probably not going to take a trade yet. I like to be very patient with these open plays, especially on a Monday. We really don't have much determination on what direction we're going to possibly trend today, if we're going to chop, if today's going to be a trend day. So you have to be very patient on Monday specifically, coming into this new week. But right now, NQ is again rejecting, which I have a line here from a previous level that I had that was obviously some significant either support or resistance. And either way now, if this was a support, which looking at it, I believe it was at a time we were in a zone where this was resistance, this was support. If we're hitting resistance once, you could say even 3 times here, and this is the 4th time we're now hitting this wall and unable to break through it. If we zoom in a little closer, I mean, we got massive buy volume on this candle, and we're still unable to break through this level. Honestly, if this was happening at any time that wasn't 9:35, 9:36 in the morning, this would potentially be a great short opportunity. I'll map out the trade. We're not going to take it, but just so we could get an idea of what we're looking at here. Ideally, yeah, see that's a little bit too much risk, I would say, even at that level. I'd probably look for a little bit better of a bounce right to where these wicks are. So right there, we could risk 355. If we go back down and make the same low that we had here, that's 840. I would probably target this level of consolidation right here, especially where this nice wick came and touched. That's about 1,000. So this is the trade I would actually look at and take if it wasn't early in the morning and I wasn't concerned with getting stuck in chop, not understanding where we're exactly going to trend today, because there is a chance we could bounce down here. This wick could get bought up again, and we could continue pushing higher, and that'd be a quick $355 loss. So we'll keep this set here, just keep an eye on it and see how this trade would have worked out. Something I always like to do is, take mental account of if a trade would work, keep it in mind, see how the market sets up, and understand if I should have taken that trade, if it would follow my rules or if it was a good idea not to take it. Like I said, I have the rule that I'm not taking any trades this early in the morning, so we're just going to watch it. But so far, as you can see, if we would have been able to get a fill right at the top of this wick of this 935 candle, or even on this 933 3-minute candle here, we'd be setting up pretty nicely. We'd probably be in about, I don't know, $800-900 profit right now. Yeah, we would hit 817. So we will just keep an eye on this. Would have been a great trade. But again, we'll watch. We'll see if we continue breaking down and if this is a downtrend starting or if this is just a temporary move. If we're going to continue chopping with inside this range. These are all things we're waiting to decide as we see how the market sets up today. So far, so good. It's a decent move. We do see that the buying volume is completely collapsing. Selling volume is increasing on this massive red candle we have right now, but that sell volume is still relatively low. The total volume is not meeting any of those first two candles we got there. So again, this could be a temporary move. We still have 8 seconds on this 3-minute candle and a minute on this 5-minute candle. This 5-minute candle is what we'll be watching. If we drop and close below, say about 24,410 on here, it's probably going to go lower, which looking like we're pushing down now. But it is finding some support right at that level. I initially marked it about 8. It was about 847 profit we would have had. That's where we're finding our first little support here on this 3-minute candle. But again, 5-minute candle close is going to be very important. Looks like we have some temporary support that's held 2 different times here to continue pushing higher. That level is going to be crucial. Let me add my indicator here so we can get a little bit more information going. There we go. Now we have our moving averages and some levels added to our chart. And if anybody is interested in this indicator, it is the Alpine indicator. It has lots of useful information to actually go ahead. It will go ahead and pre-populate resistance support levels for you, so you're not guessing as much on those. It's obviously not 100% foolproof. Sometimes you're going to get a lot of clustered support where it's touched multiple times, or historically on the chart it's came and touched these levels. So some of it also still takes a little bit of intuition from you. But it's actually looking like if we would have taken that trade, we would have just been about a point, just about a point away from the take profit that I had set. So that would have been a beautiful trade, $355 risk to make a little over 1,000 in about 8 minutes. So like I said, any other time of the day, I would have saw that set up multiple times of resistance, rejecting out of it. Probably would have taken that trade 9 times out of 10 if it's not the first morning market play. But again, we'll just keep an eye on it, because now that we're hitting that level that we have marked, we're going to look for this to hit a lot of resistance down here. I mean, we have supports here. We have tons of support down here. It would be interesting to see it break through this level, and if that happens, we might get a very strong trend to the downside today. But again, still to be determined. Looking at this hourly chart, it's really looking like we might want to consolidate within this range, but this is also really starting to squeeze within these moving averages. So just keeping an eye on it here. No trades yet, sitting in cash, being patient. We'll go ahead and take a look around the rest of the market, since we saw that trade played out basically perfectly for us. looking very similar to NQ. ES is actually breaking out of that consolidation we had here on the hourly, and wow, that's a lot of sell volume on the hourly. So the short on ES looked most likely even better than the one on NQ. Yeah, on ES we would have had great entry with probably a lot less risk, even if you were to sell one. One ES you could have, yep, 550 to almost 2,000 now. And it looks like ES is definitely breaking down. This will be an interesting trade to watch. It's like massive selling volume all around. Yeah. All of these 15-minute candles so far since open were minute 15 from these first 15-minute candles closing, and this is, I mean, zooming out here, this is the most sell volume we've had so far, looking like in the past couple days. Friday had nowhere near this much. Last Wednesday we were kind of close. Last Wednesday, let's see what we did here. Interesting. The last time we had this much sell volume, kind of near open, was last Wednesday. That actually ended up being a green day, it looks like, where the market then moved upwards. Same thing on Tuesday. Tuesday we had a lot of sell volume, and then we continued moving upwards. So it kind of looks like, as of recently, every morning when we've had massive sell volume, especially on this 15-minute chart, we sell for the first couple minutes, and then the market goes into recovery mode, and we actually push higher. So want to watch this 15-minute close. I mean, we have lots of support here, so if we close somewhere up here, this could just be further consolidation until we actually break out, and we could potentially push higher, especially if you're looking overall hourly chart. This is a really big inflection point here. We can either continue to sit here and push higher, could drop out of the zone completely and go set a new low. Again, this is why we're patient in the morning. Sit on our hands, wait for the move to come to us. We don't rush. We don't want to push a trade that's not in our setup, not in our guidelines, because that's when you end up losing money. Unfortunately, 90% of trading is waiting for your perfect setup. That other 10% is going to be actually seeing the setup and taking action on it. So right now we're in the boring 90% that is just watching, waiting, getting chart time. Like I said, you can map out trades like I did where, you know, if it doesn't meet the rules exactly, you can still see if it would have been a successful trade. And those are always good things to know. And if you see that happen multiple times, you know, if I hit that trade this morning that obviously played out perfectly, if I get on the charts tomorrow or, you know, on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it is, and same thing happens, and I do that a few times in a row, and it looks like the opening plays are kind of back and those setups are working, we can consider adding, you know, those to our execution list and changing up our rules a little bit to fit the market we're trading in. Not every market's made the same. You may have a strategy with certain rules that works in a certain market, and then the market changes, and those rules don't work. That strategy doesn't work. It's not returning the same way. And you know, you can always back test and use historical data to test your strategies beforehand, but you never really know what's going to work in your market until you have the real market data. Yeah, so now we're really still just chopping in this range. That would have been a great payout from the top of this range back down, but we did break through that support and hold right here, but technically we did go hit a lower low on this wick. Candle close is not a lower low, so that's really interesting. Um, I like to base a lot more of my information off the actual candle close, not the wicks down, because wicks down can happen for various reasons, and a lot of times they're not always the most reliable to base off of. Seems like sometimes the market will just wick towards stops, hit them, and then continue moving in the opposite direction. So this candle close speaks a lot more to me that we're closing up here above a lot of this, and actually above this previous low that we had here on the 5 minute. We're actually above. If you're looking at candle close, we're above almost all of these levels, catching perfect support right here around 382. It looks like. So, and we're getting some more buy volume pickup, which, like we said at the beginning of the live stream, NQ looked like it was going to be leading today. Tech looked really strong. ES is looking a little weaker. We actually, another great thing about the Alpine indicator is it will give you buy and sell signals. Works a lot better on higher time frames. So a 15-minute signal is going to be a lot stronger than a 5 minute. If you look here, especially in consolidation and in chop, we're going to get signals all over the place. We had a sell signal, another sell signal, and then right after the buy signal. So I like to only really listen to the signals if they're in the 15-minute or the hourly chart. Higher time frames give you way more confidence in those. However, it is something to keep in mind, and we did get a good sell signal here. I mean, we had some heavy sell volume on these candles, some buy volume picked back up, but now if we're looking at this next 5 minute candle, the reason I wouldn't take this signal is because now the buy volume is continuing to pick up on the second candle here. We got 40 seconds on it. Candle's meeting some resistance, but again, that buy volume is higher, and if that next candle comes in with even higher buy volume, this is a risky enter on a trade. Right now, I'm honestly liking the way NQ is moving a lot better than ES. So we're going to keep an eye on that. See if we get a good trade set up here. In about 10 minutes, we'll mark our opening ranges, which right now is looking like our high is going to be right up here at our daily high, and our low is right now down here at 24,343.75. But we haven't fully recovered yet. We got another red candle on the 5 minute there. So we'll wait and see how low this goes. Like I said, 10 minutes until we're 30 minutes into market, and we'll be able to mark these opening ranges. And if we're just going to sit within these ranges, mainly between this resistance up here at, we'll say 460, and then the support down here at 340. As long as we're within those ranges, there's not going to be too much we're going to be able to trade with this. Unfortunately, we're seeing these EMAs really close together, not getting much movement out of this. It's just a lot of consolidation, which unfortunately does happen on Mondays. But we are starting to kind of try and break down here. Just a lot of unknown here. Could be consolidating, could be waiting to break out. We have to let the market tell us. We can't make that decision. If you start trying to guess that or think, oh, it's definitely going to do the same thing it did last week. It did it 3 times where we would open up, everything would look red, and then massive recovery would happen. We'd push higher. As much as I would like to say, yeah, let's just go ahead and take this at these lows and see if we push higher, I'm not going to take that until the market tells me that's what it wants to do. Now on the 15 minute, we did go set a new low. Hourly hourly starting to look like it wants to break to the downside, but again, I mean, that is massive sell volume on this hourly candle. The buy volume looks like it's trying to pick up a little bit, and buy volume is probably going to be higher than this 8 o'clock candle, but that's only because we're now in market open, and 8 o'clock candle is pre-market. And although futures are open, they're not trading at the same volume they do once the market's open and the institutions start to flow in. Okay, just looking at it now, it's starting to look like we're getting a pretty good breakdown here. This 5 minute candle's about to close. Definitely set a new low now. And again, this close is really getting bought up. There's definitely buyers down here. It's just how many are there and who's going to win this battle, the sellers or the buyers. That's what we're waiting to be decided. Ideally, we might get a good retest here. If this pushes back up and we start seeing it reject again here at what has been support, as you can see all throughout this morning, this support right here is really held, and it just kind of sat here multiple times, used this to bounce up, push higher, used it twice here to bounce up and push higher. If we get another push up here, as you can see, we got one and it rejected hard. This was to come back up here again and reject again, that would be a trade I would enter, especially within the next 5 minutes as we hit that 10 o'clock time period. You can see the volume really just kind of starting to dry up. We had a lot at the open, and it's continuing to slowly drop here. Again, the risk you run on a Monday is a lot of consolidation, a lot of the market's digesting all of the news that came out over the weekend. We had earnings reports that came in on Friday, probably a few that came in before market open today. So there's a lot that everybody has to decide. If, there's a lot of stuff going on, of course, with the Iran war, all the news on that. And markets are trying to decide if we should go higher, if we should go lower, and institutions are positioning. Historically, war can be good for the markets, does lead to a lot of economic growth, but also there's a lot of uncertainty, and every war is different. Every scenario around them is different. And the institutions, the market makers, the hedge funds, everybody with a lot of money that really moves the market has to decide where they're going to position for this week, for this month, and for the rest of the year. So, especially when we're in a time like earnings season as we are now, there's just a lot of uncertainty. And that uncertainty is what leads to where you get stuck in these ranges where we're not in a nice uptrend like we'd want to see, like we had right here, where you just get clean, higher highs, higher lows all the way through. Nice, easy move that you can just, you enter along here and you're just trailing it all the way up until it comes down in here, and then you take your profit, or you take your profit up here. If you enter a trade here, you're going to just get stuck, and you're not going to really get anything meaningful unless you got that perfect short off the open resistance. Again, we're bouncing up here. Like I said, if we come up here and we reject again, this is a trade that I would be looking for. We still got 2 minutes, 30 seconds on this candle. It rejected quick there. Honestly, this is a trade that I would like to take. Switch over to MNQ just to meet risk tolerance levels here. Really want to see this buy volume, especially with 2 minutes left in the candle, because this is pretty high buy volume for today. I mean, it's up there with the highest ones we've had. If this candle comes in like this, we could push past this resistance and come back up into here somewhere. So this is a pretty important candle. But I'm already starting to see some rejections. Stop loss is a little high, but just so I can get an idea of what we're looking at here. Yeah, I really like that trade. We're risking around 300 to make 900. We got a minute left on this candle. Sell volume's pushing it back down. I really like this trade, especially as we're seeing more and more of it set up. So I'm going to change up the 4. We'll put a sell in right there. Could potentially be our first trade of the day. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to our 5-minute chart to get a good stop for us. Put our stop right up there. Now we wait to see if we can get filled on this. We have 30 seconds on this candle roughly. Volume's dropping. I don't know if we're going to get filled on this one. We may have waited just a little too long for our entry. Especially only 20 seconds left on the candle, and it's already way less volume than we had on the last one. Really liking this setup. Wish we could have got a quicker entry. I probably should have, when I mentioned that if it bounced back into that level that I would take entry, I probably should have went ahead and set up the trade. But again, it's always better to be patient, not rush your entry, not rush your trades. So now we'll just we'll watch and see what happens here. We could still get another bounce up. These buyers could not be done. It's not like our buying, evaporated down to these levels we had on these massive red candles. Still had decent buy volume. We could get a little bounce at the beginning of this candle, be able to get a nice entry, and still have this play work out. What I'm actually going to do. I would take entry. Position I was looking for. For me, it's not familiar. MNQ is just the micro. It's just a smaller contract version of NQ, which is the main futures. So essentially, 10 MNQs is the same as an NQ contract. So 5 of these would be the same as if I just came over here and was able to buy half of one of these. Because of what we're risking here, because I want to give it a little bit more space to work, I would rather go in with 5 MNQs than trying to force an NQ entrance, especially when we're getting wicks like this, and I don't even know if I'll be able to get entry on this. So if I have to bring my entry down a little bit like I did here, this allows me to still enter the trade, still capture the profit without having to over risk and force my hand a little more than I would like to. So looking at this 3-minute candle, We are getting a little more buying so far. We got a minute left on it, and it's looking like it's trying to push up some. Um, we might be able to get an entry here. We'll see. We're still getting some good resistance there, but if this pushes up to rejects again, I'm really liking our position here. There we go. We got two of them filled. We're already up $50. We're already rejecting again. We got 30 seconds on this candle. It's gonna really suck if we don't get filled on a full position here and it crashes down to where we were watching for it to go. But that is how it goes sometimes. Looking at our hourly, we just closed that first hourly candle. Looks like just 315 level. I'm gonna go ahead and set this buy one there, close out part of our position. Again, my biggest worry is if we break up past here. Wow. And that's what I was just about to say. My biggest worry is if we break up past there, that this could be that setup we had seen, where at first we go down, and now we're looking to set up that recovery upwards. Should have been a little patient. If I would have waited one more candle, would have just saved ourselves about $300 of a loss. But multiple rejections, initially volume dropped. I mean, I can't be upset at that entry. And now we're back into that same range I said we may consolidate at. So this is why we live stream trading, so you can see exactly how it goes. This is the ups and downs of all of it. We're not going to hide anything. We just took a loss there of about $300. I can tell you the exact amount. Let me pull up my account so I can see it on my side. But now at least we're getting a little more buy volume. We're getting a little more potentially of a direction set up here. But again, I mean, we set a new low here. Go to the 5 minute before that. We set a new low here. Now we're pushing back up here to where we were at the high. I mean, again, we could just reject here and drop back down and continue consolidation, which then at that point, we'll give it another 30, maybe 45 minutes. We'll go over some stocks, maybe do a quick Q&A, and then we may just have to call it a day because it's looking like we're going to get a lot of consolidation here. But we could, like I said, based off the past weeks, we could go set a new high here, and this could be the start of a nice uptrend, which it's looking like it might do. That 5 minute candle is the most buy volume we've had all day, probably the least amount of sell volume we've had. Sellers may have exhausted all their power on these initial drops here, and we could push higher. That 15-minute close at 9:45 had really good buy volume, and now we're on a nice green candle with 9 minutes left here. So yeah, I think the setup is definitely in play where we get that initial drop in the morning, and now we're looking for a nice V-shaped recovery and push higher. So we take a loss on our first trade, but we have 1 to 2 more trades. I normally limit myself to a max of 3 trades a day. If I get the first 2 wrong, usually call it a day. If I go 1 for 1, I have another chance to take another trade and see what we're able to do. So we're just going to keep an eye on it, pulling up to see exactly how much we lost on that initial play we took. And here we are rejecting it again. So technically the close and the wicks did not set a high, and we did not even touch that resistance that we had there. So we weren't wrong so far. Okay, so total P&L is minus $299, so just shy of 300. So we'll take that. Well within our risk parameters there. At most, we're wanting to risk 300 to 500 per trade. So everything's still on course. And again, we're back just waiting for the market. If you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you could say almost 6 hours of trading on NQ here has been stuck within this range, which for anybody that has been trading for a long time, that's not what you want to see. That's not what you want to be a part of. We would much rather see a nice trend. And although I said I liked NQ a little better, it looks like ES is shaping up a lot better. Okay. So while we wait, I will actually just go ahead and pull up some other trades we have. So went ahead and dropped in the chats our Substack link if you're new to the channel or just new to my content in general and you haven't given Market Insights and Trading Trends newsletter a read, I would go over to that link. It's just k2sing34.substack.com. We have a lot of good stuff on there. Some educational stuff. When you pull it up, you'll see our options master classes at the top with module 1 to start you off with. This breaks down a lot of the basics of options. It teaches you all about the Greeks, really everything you need to know about how to buy, play options, some advanced stuff in there as you get into the further modules. Then we have our weekly editions that we drop each week, and we will give out 5 high conviction setups that we're seeing, trade ideas with the exact entries, the stops, and the targets you should be looking at. We usually give 2 targets, sometimes 3, depending on the play, and you can trade those right along with us. We also track each one of them on our Collective 2 portfolio that allows us to essentially trade a simulated funds account and track how we do in comparison to the overall market with the S&P 500 and the other strategies along there. So it's nice. It's nice to be transparent with each of our trades that we take and how well our newsletter does as a whole. So just want to go take a look at some of those trades that we took for last week's, and we can pull them up on here while we wait for the indices to decide if they're going to do anything today or if they're going to just chop in place. So far, our first trade we gave out was Broadcom, also known as the ticker AVGO. And let's see here. We gave out entry. I'll give out the exact entry. We gave out entry and at the 330 to 335 range. Looking at it now, on Thursday, we closed at 332. We hit a low down here at 323. Friday, we opened at 328-ish, came down to about almost 325, and then closed right at 330. So you're getting perfect entries on both Thursday and Friday. And now, as we're looking, today we've hit a high of about 336. So we're now above entry. So if you were unable to get that entry on Thursday or Friday, I would unfortunately wait. As you can see, this candle we opened down here at 327-ish. So you could have gotten entry at open or any time really until now. If you haven't entered, I'd wait to see for a pullback, which you'll probably get with the way this day's looking like it'll shape up. Our stop was a close below 318, which we never got to. So we're still in this trade. We're targeting 355, and then our second target is 375. So just looking at this chart here, we got a lot of room to move. But I mean, as we're pushing up here, this is looking like it found great support. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And now we look to continue pushing higher and hit up here. This resistance at 352 may be something you want to watch if you're in the trade. I'm thinking we get a nice push through here, especially with continued volume. Our volume looks like it is Again, Friday was a huge drop off, but that was drop off in volume across the board, across pretty much the indices and a lot of the stocks I looked at. We're starting to pick up volume here today again, already pushing close to what we did on Friday. So that's always good to see. What I see is volume come in and be like these average ones we got over here that are clearly a part of that uptrend move to continue our move higher. So great trade setting up. We're now a little below entry at 334.99. So we'll keep an eye on that one. The next one we have is an Amazon long. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how Amazon's looking. Amazon is not looking as good for us here. So if you did not get entry, our entry was 213 to 216, and we have a stop at a close below 206. So we are pushing close to our stop here. As you can see, we pushed up on Thursday, and apparently we really hit some resistance. And there's even more resistance right here at this 217 level that we've kind of wicked into and rejected. All we're watching for here is for it to find some support right here and continue pushing higher. If we're able to find support before we hit that 206 level, then we clearly have a higher low, and that sets us up perfectly to go hopefully set a higher high and start hitting our targets. So this trade's still intact, but we're watching this one closely, and this one could potentially trigger a stop loss today, but that's just something to keep an eye on. One other trade we will take a look at here out of our 3 paid subscriber plays that we had. We usually do 2 free plays each week and 3 paid plays each week. But for everybody on the live stream today, or anyone watching this recording, if you're watching it within time to enter in these trades, we'll give you one more for the day. That one will be a GitLab short. So what we had in our newsletter last week, we gave out an entry at 25 and 28. As you can see, on Thursday, we came up to a high of about 26, and on Friday, we were well into the 25, almost 26 range before we started rejecting, and now we're looking like we're rejecting and hopefully going to make a lower low, but we are past, way below our entry point here. Our first target is 22, so we are about 2 points from our first target. If we can go down and set a new low down here, that'll take us right to our first target. So technically, if you're in this trade, you are in profit, and this one's already winning for us, but we could get another bounce up here, and you may be able to enter. So that's something to keep an eye on. But so far, this is a winning trade, and we're just looking for it to continue and take in some of those earnings. Let's go ahead and take a look at the indices again and see if we've been getting any movement there or if we're still consolidating. Pulling up 15 minutes. I mean, we couldn't have gotten more unlucky in this trade. One of the largest wicks on this chart so far. Right as we entered, we wicked up and rejected pretty hard. And it looks like that wick was just hunting our stop loss there. And we took that loss, but like I said, we kept it small, rejected out of there, and now we are still once again sitting lower, looking like it may want to continue lower. Buy volume has basically evaporated. Going to the 5 minute to get a closer look here. Okay, on this 5 minute, a little bit of buy pickup on this one, but nothing significant. Volume overall is down. So again, we're still just kind of stuck in this range. And if we wanted to play an opening range breakout, what I would mark is I'm actually going to leave this here. We have the high mark, so if we break through into this range and get a close in here, that's an actionable trade in my mind. And also if we break through here and then come back down and find support here, another actionable trade. So we have those levels marked. We are also going to mark, so we have that here. I'm going to go ahead and mark our low. We'll draw a horizontal line there. I'm going to go ahead and make this one red so you can see it. And we'll change it to a solid line. So So now we have our opening ranges marked. We have an idea of what we're looking for. We want to break out of at least either this red line or break above. Ideally, both these lines, maybe just the blue one if we break out, get it close somewhere here, and then get support down there. That could be an actionable trade. But those are really the things we're watching because right now we're really just consolidating and the market's not making up his mind. And until it does, we can't take any more trades, especially because we've already taken that one loss today. And if we take another one, we would then probably call it a day. So we're just going to keep an eye on it. Looks like crypto is really pushing. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those crypto names. One that usually runs with that is Coinbase. They are not doing the greatest today. It's interesting. Had some buy volume at first, but they're not doing the greatest. We'll go to actual BTC. And yep, that's looking good. Should do Coinbase. Yep. Yeah, so we're pushing up past 69K, back towards 70. We'll look at the daily here. Yeah, Bitcoin is looking strong. Check one other. We can do this one. Solana. I don't want to do market cap. Solana is not doing as strong, but we are still getting decent buy volume. Getting the push up. Looks like somewhat of an uptrend starting to start there on Solana. So looks like Bitcoin is leading the charge right now. Yeah, Bitcoin's definitely leading the charge for cryptos, but overall all cryptos are looking pretty strong. Going back to our NQ here. Still setting up like a solid hammer candle, but not pushing any higher. Okay. While these are all setting up, going to just take a quick break and I will be right back. We are back. Uh, as we stepped away, NQ got a pretty good bid here. Looking at this 15, we still have 6 minutes left on it, but volume's pushing up. 5 minute, we did get a buy signal here, but as you can tell, like I said with the Alpine trading, the Alpine indicator, it does give a couple signals right here in a row because we are again in that consolidation. And again, we technically didn't set a new low here, but we're also pushing and looking like we might not set a new high. So still a lot of consolidation, um, which we hate to see as traders. Our hourly chart looking like it may be pushing up higher. And looking overall at this hourly chart, this could be a nice flag into a push higher. We do have still 35 minutes on that hourly chart. So again, not market's not telling us much here. Well, I guess it's telling us a lot, not much at the same time. It's not giving us much to trade, but it is telling us that it's really stuck here. A lot of areas resistance, a lot of areas that it's trying to figure out what it wants to do. Looking overall, the big picture here, again, we are down massively. It's a really large gap down here, honestly. But we're setting up a nice hammer candle. We have a lot of space to fill here. I mean, in my mind, whether it's today or tomorrow, or even maybe Wednesday, we're probably going to go and fill this gap and close this here before we continue lower. That's just my understanding from watching the markets for years and knowing how it likes to move. The problem is we don't want to try and guess when it's going to fill that gap. We want to wait and let it show us that it's going to start that trend upwards and start closing that gap. And again, this would be a good signal of it, is if we can push up out of here, we can get back into this area right here. But again, we're rejecting at this level. This close was below it, and there we go. We're getting more sell volume again. Which is really frustrating to watch. Consolidation, watch chop, because it gives you no actionable trades. And if we're to try and trade this, all that's going to happen is we're going to continue to take losses. We took that first early loss on a trade that technically did play out almost how we wanted it to. All we wanted to do was come and match these same lows here, and on our entry, we literally sold, got taken out, and then it came right back down and almost touched where we would have had our take profits. So again, that's something that tells me the trade setup was there. We may have forced it. We didn't wait for it to get out of consolidation. We didn't wait for the market to show us it was going to actually make the true move. That would be my note for my journaling for the day. Was just be a little more patient and wait till it shows you the actual move instead of trying to jump in out of this consolidation. Because anytime you're trying to guess when it's going to break consolidation, there's a lot of times you're going to end up being wrong. If you look here where it's consolidated, and if we even zoom out and find other areas of consolidation, like up here, if you would have tried to trade any time in here, you're probably going to take a loss. But if by chance you somehow time this short perfectly out of this consolidation, you would get a winning play there. But the smarter play is just to wait, watch for a retest, a bounce, or like maybe right here where we kind of tested the support and rejected hard, enter right here, and you can still get some nice profits. So those are the plays we want to look for instead of trying to force it and guess when we're going to break consolidation, because those are usually losing plays. Get back here to what we're looking at. With a minute 40 left on this 15-minute candle, volume is looking bullish. Overall structure, all these wicks to the top, it's looking bearish. So I'm already having kind of conflicting ideas here. Overall, I think today I would probably lean more bullish and think we're going to go up at some point. But again, looking at all these top wicks, all that heavy selling, all those rejections, that tells me bearish, and we're gonna go lower. And when you have different signals like that, again, it's best just to wait and see what sets up. And not every day is going to be a trading day. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to have on some of these live streams. Some of the days we're going to get on here and we'll take one trade, we'll hit our profit within the first, 30 minutes to an hour. And those days will be great. And some days we may not take any trades. Some days we may take one losing trade. Um, that's unfortunately how trading goes. But for anybody watching this that's either considering getting into trading or is already trading, those are things you have to know and or consider. That unfortunately, unlike if you say you have a 9 to 5 where you can go to the job and get paid every single day, the markets aren't as friendly. Some days you get paid and some days you don't. But those paydays can really stack up and add up fast, especially if you take days slow. And although today is almost down $300, we're minus 299. A winning day can easily be anywhere from 800 to 1,000, and that makes up for multiple losing days, if you even have multiple losing days. If I would have been patient, not taking that trade, not rushed it, we would still be at zero today. I could, call it a day, come back tomorrow, win, five, 800, somewhere within that range, and we're positive on the week, either way. So just something to keep in mind. Lots of ups and downs with it. Again, 90% of it is being patient, watching for your setup, knowing what your setup is, and trading your setups, trading your strategy, and sticking to it. The other 10% is the actual taking action and seeing the trade through. Looking at the Russell 200 futures, or Russell 2000. Look at the hourly again. We're got 28 minutes left, but we're increasing in volume. And if I zoom in a little bit, look at the 15. We set a lower low. We've yet to set a higher high. We're continuing to reject. Looking at the 5, we're rejecting in a nice trend here. And it looks like that might want to push lower. So right now it's looking like out of all of them, the Russell 2000 is the only one we may take a trade on here. I'm going to take a look at ES. ES is kind of setting up similar. Again, looking at that hourly, we have tons of buy volume. And if anybody's also wondering why I keep switching my time frames, as you see up here, I have my daily, hourly, 15-minute, 5-minute, and 3-minute. The significance of those is a trend or move you see on a higher time frame is going to move a lot better, and you're going to get more out of your trades. And you can really get an idea of the overall direction, sentiment, all of that on the markets from the higher time frame. So that's how I like to see kind of where we're heading. So right now, if I'm looking at this, as of right here, we started setting higher highs, higher lows, and we're continuing to do that. So that gives me an idea that we may push higher. But then you zoom in, and the further you zoom in, that helps you get better entries and understand exactly what's happening at that time with the market. And what you want to see is, ideally, I'd want to see every single one of these time frames setting up the same way. So I want to see the hourly telling me, okay, it looks like we're going to push higher. I want to go into the 15 and think the same thing. Okay, we're looking like we want to push higher. And if I can do that all the way down to the 3-minute, and then I get to the 3-minute, that tells me where I can enter. Because you can get a lot closer with your entries. You can see a lot more of what's happening each minute with each candle. So we see here that, honestly, this right in here is a lot of resistance right now, which is interesting because it was support previously. We've gotten some supports in here. So right now, this is honestly telling me more sell, but we could say it was showing me that we wanted to enter and go long. I could then tell on the 3-minute that we have some support right here, which is a lot easier to see than if we go to the 15, where I think my support's all the way down here. Clearly, if we want to enter here, let's just say we're buying and our stop loss is down here. It's almost $1,000 loss. But if we zoom into the 3-minute, I can tell there's no need for that. If we were to break down through here, where these wicks are, clearly we're breaking through all of this. We're breaking through what was support here, breaking through all of these wicks. That just saved us about $500 on our stop loss there. $500 in risk just by fine-tuning our entries, zooming in, figuring out what's happening on the 3-minute. Some people use the minute chart. That's a little bit too much movement for me. I can pull that up and you can kind of see that there's just a lot happening here. You get a lot more wicks. It's a lot tighter, and usually trading the 1-minute chart for me just leads to getting stopped out, getting wicked out a little too often. I like to go 3 to 5 minutes to find my supports. Yeah, see, so that same support I saw on the 3-minute is also validated by this 5-minute. We have a support line here from our indicator. We have these 2 wicks that both came down, touched it, and then continue to push higher. So that'd probably be a pretty good support for me. And if I was entering a trade, that's what I would use, and that's why you use multiple different time levels and different levels of confluence to confirm your trades and enter your trades. But again, just looking overall here, we still have not broken out with any of these levels, and the market's really not looking like it wants to do much here, which is pretty unfortunate. Only other thing I'm thinking is we are hitting previous support, possibly turn resistance. Let's see what NQ is looking like. So the thing is that NQ and ES, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, usually trade somewhat similar. They're comprised of a lot of similar stocks. The S&P 500 is the biggest stocks in the market. The NASDAQ 100 is the biggest tech stocks in the market. And as a lot of you probably know, tech stocks that are the biggest, that are part of the NASDAQ 100, most of them are also part of the S&P 500. So a lot of those have influence on both indices, which is why they usually move pretty similar. Like stocks like Apple, Amazon, Tesla, all of those are a part of both NASDAQ and the S&P 500. We also have Microsoft, just kind of getting an idea of what all of these are doing. And again, we're kind of just stuck on everything here. Nothing wants to break out. Nothing wants to make a big move, which doesn't really translate well for us. Taking another look at a name I like to look at, MU. They're trending up, which is honestly not surprising. That happens most days. We'll go one more here with NVIDIA. Okay, so it looks like some tech stocks, semiconductors, chips, things like that may be moving up a little bit, but honestly, overall, they are not pushing like they do some days. It's looking overall at NVIDIA here, got a nice little high, potentially a higher low here, but still pretty range bound. That's what interests me with the Russell 2000 today, is that does not trade in confluence with NQ or ES. Typically, in a lot of markets, this will trade almost the opposite of the S&P 500. A lot of times you'll see S&P 500 is dropping, and some of it could be rotating into small stocks, the growth stocks, things like that. And you'll see a good trend upwards in the Russell 2000. Right now, again, the same as we have on both the indices, though. We're stuck in these ranges. Our hourly chart showing more buy, but every other time frame is showing a lot of resistance and looking like it wants to go down. But got a minute 30 on this 5-minute candle that's pushing right into where we rejected before. So we could go set a new high here. Got a minute 30 on it. We're going to keep an eye on this one. We'll zoom in a little further here. 3-minute candle is now setting a a new high with 20 seconds left. So we'll keep an eye on this. This could be our second trade of the day, potentially our last trade of the day. We're going to give this another 10, 15 minutes, see how it plays out, see how this sets up, make a decision if we're going to trade it. If we trade it, we'll continue running the live stream until we finish this trade, maybe take another trade after it, depending on how it goes. If we bounce right back down in consolidation, probably going to go ahead and call it a day. Once we hit about the 11 o'clock mark, if we're not breaking out of anything, usually around 11 to 12, you start to get the lunch hour shift where the market really slows down, volume dries up, and then usually around anywhere from about 1:30 till 3 o'clock where you get power hour. May get some moves, you could get a decent trend, and then you're going to get the biggest moves at power hour from 3 right until market close at 4. We don't like to spend a lot of times on the market. We don't want to sit here all day trying to look for a move, wasting our time if it's just going to sit in consolidation. We have other stuff we can go do. I'm sure a lot of people, some people have jobs. People like to trade with a 9 to 5. So we don't want to have everybody sitting here all day looking for a trade, wasting your whole day, not being productive. So if we don't see something set up within, at most, the first hour and a half of the market, especially if we're consolidating that whole time, we're going to just go ahead and call it a day. So again, we rejected up here, but the bright thing is that we did go set a new high. We did get more volume here, and it does look like we might try and continue pushing up and break out. The hourly we have 19 minutes on, has a lot of buy volume. So I am liking the Russell 2000 right now. That's a decent long setup. ES I'm not liking as much. We rejected right there. 15 volumes still kind of increasing. Not really a new high here. The 5-minute did get a new high close from this trend we're kind of in, but this is not on ES. These are not very clean trends. This is still looking like a lot of chop and a lot of nonsense. In Q, looks a little better. We're actually right within that zone. We closed right basically at that level as I was watching. This candle will be really interesting here. Honestly, could be giving us a decent setup point in Q as well. Tech is stronger. Tech is leading. Like we said, we were watching for that. What's historically been happening in the past week or so that I could just take a look at and see was we get the initial drop and then we break out and continue to push higher. We're coming right into that midday mark where we could establish a trend within the next 15, 20 minutes, and that trend could continue all the way up until the lunchtime, 12:30 hour. We could consolidate some more, and then power hour could bring a whole new long or short move. We got another 3-minute close, less volume this time, but right up here in this level, setting a nice clean new high after we have a low here. So what we want to see, honestly, is now we have some resistance down here. This could give us a good long signal. We did break out this resistance level. Again, we rejected in the same area that this last candle rejected, that led us to get this almost perfect double bottom that we had here that I actually almost missed. We had candle close and then wick close right here. So this double bottom could actually be what's pushing it higher. Let's look at the 5. So not as clean on the 5, but definitely that 3-minute, you can almost see it perfectly. This one's just slightly higher, the wicks touch, and then it goes. And now we are breaking out and pushing higher. This could be what we've been looking for all morning. Got a minute 40 left on this candle as we're breaking out. Yeah, we just want to see what this does here. Hopefully we break out and go set a new high, and then we can get a nice pullback right into here, enter in here, keep our stop down here, and look to at least hit yesterday's low. I'd like to see it come up here to about the 24,660 level. I have a level drawn there, so yeah, this is setting up nicely. Finally, it took all morning. It took until almost 11 o'clock for us to get a little bit of a breakout, but like I said, 90% waiting and looking for your setup. So that's what we're doing. We're waiting and watching. 16 minutes left on this hourly candle, which has good buy volume, good overall volume. We're pushing just above what that last candle was, and we just want to see it close up here instead of wicking back down like that one did. If this hourly candle wicks all the way back down, we will 100% be calling it a day. 5 minute increasing volume again, 20 seconds, 25 seconds left on this close. This is the perfect breakout we're looking for. Increasing volume. Finally getting some moves. And this is the breakout we want to watch. There we go. We set a new daily high, which is exactly what I said I wanted to see happen. Our volume's increasing 4 seconds on this close. Once this closes, all we're going to watch for is for a nice pullback again into hopefully this level, right where this previous resistance was. I'm actually just going to go ahead, and if we come down to here, I want to be able to enter. I don't want to have to worry about trying to throw together my entry. Go to the 5 minute. I want to see what all we have. Okay, so if I'm entering up there, most I'm going to risk is right to there. It's the 454.75. Let's see, based on our risk tolerance here, how much we can risk. I would say I'm going to get half a position or half of a full NQ contract, anywhere from 5 to 6 NQ contracts will work. Oh wow, hold on, is that a gap? Why is there a gap on this 5 minute? Yeah, that's interesting. So it's looking like the 5 minute chart actually now has a gap in it, and that's pretty interesting. That's not a common occurrence. We could have had news that dropped. I'll have to check my news portals, but we jumped from 24 482.75, and then next candle opened 535. So that's a gap on the 5 minute. The 15 still looks smooth. We got good increase in volume on the 15. The hourly finally looking like it's going to break out. 3 minutes smooth. We got no gaps on there. It's a good increase in volume. We're setting new highs. We are actually ripping. Again, I could have entered when I saw this break of this level and then this retest right here, these 2 wicks. But I want to be patient. We had rejected right here before, so when this rejection kind of popped up, it could have been the same move we had here, which could have easily led to another loss. Would rather be patient than force that entry and potentially get wicked out or take a quick loss. Normally, every time a stock breaks out, it's gonna pull back. You just have to wait, and if it doesn't pull back, then that's unfortunate, but it's rare those kind of massive moves happen, and a lot of times that's a news trade, and news trades are risky. No matter what, unless somehow you have some insider information. Taking a closer look here, yeah, we're definitely pushing higher. Let me check and see if we have any news. Yeah, it's not looking like there's any news that came out, so I'm not sure exactly what's causing this. interesting, pretty high volume move for no significant news. Looking at the VIX, which is the volatility, this kind of tells you how volatile the markets are. It's actually dropping, which we would expect to see, I guess. Well, honestly, with a push higher, I'd probably expect it to see it go higher. But this means that the volatility is dropping and indices are pushing. This could be a good indicator that we are actually entering an uptrend, and this may be the true direction for the day. Again, this 5-minute chart just looks so weird with that gap up. Our 3-minute is finally starting to pull back. This is where I entered. Thought I entered that trade on here. That 3-minute candle is starting to reject and come down. This is what we're going to want to watch for an entry here. Just going to try and make sure I don't already have an order placed because I could have swore I sent it through. Okay, we're good. They did not send through. Three-minute pullback would be great. A 5-minute pullback would be even better. I'd like to see it at least pull back to here. Ideally, we'd come closer to under this 24,500. But I don't know. We're getting a good bit of volume pouring in here. I'm not sure how far of a pullback we're going to get. 8 minutes left on this hourly close, which means these next two 5-minute candles are going to tell us a lot. It is looking like we want to recover today, and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and assume that at least this gap up here to yesterday's low gets closed. It's just, can we enter the trade? Do we get a good entry, or does it go ahead and close that gap without us? Again, the 3-minute chart's rejecting again, so we're gonna wait, watch our entry. Anything down below here, gonna look to take entry. That gap really messes up the entries on there. A little bit too much risk if we enter there and risk that low. Yeah, this that gap and that big move, it's gonna make it a little harder to get entry, but we just need a decent pullback and or for this continue to be support here. If this continues to build the way it is, looks like we might push higher here. Again, I don't want to rush my entry here. Clearly there's resistance, possibly some support there, but we're not at any pre-marked levels that we have, so there's no reason we should enter a trade here because the best I could do is put my stop somewhere down here, which that's way too much risk for the upside that we have, I would say. Just way too much risk in general for my trading strategy. Yeah, ideally we would want to We want to get entry somewhere in here, targeting that gap fill. I have no, yeah, I have no other areas. I mean, that could be some support right there at 553, but we're still pretty far above that up here. Looks like this candle's going red on us for now. And if you look here, our volumes are slowly trailing down, which is what we expect to see as it starts to consolidate here. Again, just watching for it to push down a little lower so we can time our entry perfectly and get a good entry on this. Take a look and see what ES is doing because ES looked weaker. So if it's also breaking out, that's good. Good sign that longs may be a good option here, which we are breaking out on ES, but technically did not set a new daily high on ES, which is it's interesting. Anytime you see that divergence between NQ and ES, usually makes it a little harder to trade. We would love to see the same time NQ hits a new daily high, ES hit a new daily high. Right now, it looks like it's trying to go set a new one. But again, projecting, we got a good close out of this or above this resistance we had. Maybe see it continue to sit above that resistance and push to a new daily high, but here is the pullback on NQ that we wanted to see. So now as it rejects and pulls back, any entry down here, do like 5. Try and stagger some entries here. I'm going to do a starter position right there. Volume did increase just slightly on that last 3 minutes, so we'll wait and see what happens. It's 5 minute. It's getting balled back up. We still have 2 minutes on this 5-minute close. Ideally, we close somewhere down here and push down into here, and then hopefully continue our trend higher. We are nearing a good entry point though, so we just have to wait and see if we get entry. If it continues pushing higher without us, that's the way trading goes. Market's not always going to give you the perfect entry, so we just have to wait and see there. Volume still kind of looking like it's going to trail off here again, which is good for us. Looks like it's going to try and push back lower to give us our entry. If we break out above this daily high, then that would probably continue our move upward to fill that gap. 1 minute left on this candle close, and we are nearing this hourly close. 1 minute left on that. Which, if you look at this hourly, it definitely looks like we're going to continue pushing higher. Massive buy volume. Higher high, higher lows. So that looks good. 15 minute, again, we're now seeing a higher high. Maybe we go to the higher low here. 5 minute, same thing, higher high, looking for a higher low. And lastly, 3 minute, same thing. Higher high, have a low here, looking for a higher low here, and respecting this low here. So this is exactly how we want to see everything setting up in each of the time frames. If we go to our daily, we're now nice and green on it. Clearly with this massive wick and the buy volume we're having, everything right now is looking like longs are the play. Now it's just timing our entry, not rushing our entries, and not risking too much are the only things left we have to do in order to hopefully have a successful trade here and a successful trading day overall. I do like that this last 3 minute close we had less buy volume. We're still trailing off, but the way this candle closed here is looking like we may have a nice hammer candle, and this may be what pushes our move upward. Again, I still don't want to force entry here. There's not massive amounts of buy volume pouring in, so we're still thinking we could get a little lower and get a nice low somewhere set in here. But again, that's all up to the markets. This last 15-minute close had less buy volume. We had a massive wick to the upside. The moves today are not the cleanest. We're getting a decent amount of wicks happening on each of these candles, so a lot harder to trade in a time where you got to be a lot more patient. It's tough not to rush this entry and think I could just buy here and say if it comes below here I could get out. That is, that could be somebody's strategy. That could be how you trade. That's not how I'm going to trade. I'm going to look for a healthy, solid pullback on the 5 minute candle, especially with this massive gap here. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. I would at least like to see us touch this resistance, and we haven't done that yet. So that's what worries me. And I don't want to rush my entry and then see this reject again up here, and then we plummet back down. Just looking at our 3 minute, 30 seconds left on it, our volume is overall lower. By volume, maybe slightly higher, but until we get that close in 30 seconds, this volume could still get sold and pushed back down. So, but the further it goes, the more buy we're getting, and again, the more we're kind of rejecting at that same level. We'll go ahead and look at the VIX again. This is good to help decide if trend's going to continue or what we're looking at. VIX is continuing to drop, so volatility's leaving. We're still kind of consolidating, so this is looking honestly pretty good for this trend to continue. I realistically think we're going to recover and fill that gap that I was mentioning. I just don't want to time it wrong. Uh, Timing's everything. Yeah, we did get more buy volume here after this hammer candle, and now we're pushing out into a new high. Yep, we did not get the pullback that we wanted. Sometimes that is what happens, and it's tough to watch, especially when we took that initial trade at I think 9:45 ish that we saw played out perfectly. Would have made our day. We got all the profit we needed, but we were patient. We waited, stuck to our rules. We didn't trade anything before 10, and then we took that trade right at 10. That was a quick loss that just wicked us out, and then again moved right to where we wanted it to go. And now we're stuck watching this one, waiting for a good, healthy pullback, an actionable pullback. And we're watching it look like it wants to push higher. But like I said, you don't want to rush it because we saw here we did go hit a little new daily high, but then we wicked right back down and closed right below this same level that it has been resisting. So unfortunately, we just have to continue being patient. Um, this is part of trading that does take a mental toll on everybody, and it's hard, especially if you're trading with the money in your mind, and you just want to make some, and you think I'm just going to go ahead and buy here, or you see this candle push up, and right before it closes with 30 seconds left, you decide to buy here, and now you're already down in your position, and if your stop's down here, that's a massive loss you could end up taking, all because you rushed your entry. We are trying to build a solid base there, but in my mind, this looks like it's gonna pull back again before continuing trend. But we did go set a new high, so if this comes down here and looks like it's gonna set a new low here, I could enter with this being my stop. Now that we have a little bit more of a trend set up, but not looking like we're gonna get the original pullback that we wanted. 8 minutes left on that candle. Our hourly closed pretty nice, and this candle again is already taking over that wick we had. We're pushing higher on this 3 minute. That last 3 minute did have some nice buy volume. This 3 minutes continuing. Yeah, so now the next trade I'm going to be watching is if we pull back down into here. Like it right there. This one we could even have better risk to reward. Right there. Yeah, I'd even be willing to risk that just to give it some room to breathe. And then our gap fill would be $1,000 profit. So that's actually a great trade setup if we get that pullback as well. I could really just get rid of these orders. Move this down to here. Risk almost 350. And go up to a little over 1,000 there. We're happy with exactly 1,000. Risking just about 350 at max to make 1,000. good trade up in my. That's a good trade setup in my mind. Uh, Good risk to reward, and realistically, I probably won't take that 347 loss. I would most likely take it a little higher, depending on how the chart shapes up though. But at worst, that's what we're looking at. I'll actually, if I can, perfect. Now we're risking exactly $350 to get 1,000. If we get that nice fill right back up into that level, we could always also close it a little early, depending on how the chart looks. On this wick down, we did just we came within, I think, 4 points of getting a fill. So I'm liking this. I'm not liking the wicks we have, but overall, everything else is looking great. Volume is dying a little bit on our 15. 5's losing it as well, but we will see. We just need a push a little bit lower. We can get filled. Another thing I can watch is if this continues to get bought up, what I actually might do. Man, it just does not want to give us our entry here. Yep. We're already pushing higher with more volume, so put that there. But again, here we are again. 3 minute is pushing higher, volume's increasing. We're rejecting that level. Needed to stay below this resistance at 584.75. And I think we can get a push back down. Which could give us our entry. I'm actually staggering my entries just a little bit here so that I can try and get a position without missing this move. So we're going to take one less. We're only going to fill 4 if we can get them. And then that leaves us one more we can buy if we come back down into this level somewhere in here. And this way of entry just makes it to where we can at least have a starter position. And if for some reason we never actually get that full pullback that I want, we can still hopefully get a little profit, take away that loss that we took today. But again, it does not seem like it wants to give us our entry. We touched right to our entry zone, and now we're again pushing up. So the markets are not being friendly to us today, not giving us our entries, and just leaving us. Yep, there we go. Minutes on this 5 minute candle. Again, it just went and hit another daily high. It's starting to wick back down again. That is one thing we don't like to see. We don't like to see all these wicks to the top side. Shows a lot of heavy selling pressure, and we are now touching where that gap kind of started. This 15 minute is building with more volume with 1 minute till close. And here goes the 3 minute candle pushing up completely. Again, we just barely missed that one. Put our initial entry a little too low. tried to spread out our entries and get filled on the one, and again, just unable to get entry there. 'Cause do want to just give these last couple minutes to see what happens here, how these close. We could still get an entry, but it's looking like it wants to leave without us. 3 minute has 5 seconds till it closes. Volume's moving around. We just got a push over more volume in that last 2 minute candle. Push higher, decent close. Looks like this next one's going to continue taking us higher, which means we're not going to get that pullback for our entry. And at most, I mean, I would have had 2 of them that got filled. Just so we know what we'd be looking at. Yeah, it's just now we're hitting $200 a profit, which would be nice. It would take away some of that loss we took, but again, we're trying to follow our risk rules, follow our strategy, follow how we're supposed to trade. And in order to get in that trade, we needed a better pullback than that. Especially with all these wicks at the top, it's too risky to try and enter up here. There's so many times where this exact same setup would happen, and after this rejection here, we'd wick up, reject again, and then it would come crashing down and fill back in this gap to this previous resistance we had, and that could become support. So there's so many things we have to weigh out here. And while it does suck to miss a move and miss potential profit, it's a lot better than losing money and being on the wrong side of a trade again. Being 0 for 2 on the day would be much more detrimental to our mental and our account than it would be to sit and watch this one. And again, on the 5 minute, we're rejecting and waking up here. So there's clearly tons of resistance, and I do think we're going to get a nice pullback into looking overall at the 15. We'll probably get a pullback down to this resistance, or at least this pre-market high right here. It's just when will that happen? So this will be the trade I'm kind of watching for the rest of the day, and if anybody else is on the charts and watching, I would look for a high down here, or a pullback down here, and then back retest up here at either kind of where we're at now with this daily high, or right here at this resistance somewhere right around 24,635 to 30 range. Also, if this, wherever this kind of high stops at and it pulls back down here, I would just watch for wherever the daily high is for it to go and tap that area again. But until we get that pullback, there's really not much you can do here. These little 3 minute pullbacks are good, but again, when it's not a super clean move, you don't have great levels to trade off of. And on the 5 minute, we really don't have much to go off of here. If we come down here and consolidate here again, multiple touches in this area where we've had support previously, that could also be an actionable trade, but you don't want to take a trade at daily high. It's the worst trade you could take unless for some reason you're trading reversals and you have a reversal set up and you want to, short somewhere up here. You could be looking for that, but reversals are very risky, very dangerous, and very hard to time. So again, just watching for a pullback. I'm giving it a little more time because we're getting good rejections, and it looks like it may want to pull back. So now what I'm actually going to do is, just because we went and set a new high, I don't want to have this order set here. I want to see what this candle does first, and if it, for some reason, tanks all the way down to here, I don't want to get automatically filled and automatically stopped on those, so I'm going to go ahead and take those orders off and just watch and see what we get here. I do like this, though. Maybe if we did 5 up there. Okay, that's good risk. Actually, just going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put a 3 buy right there. I'm going to give this plenty of room to work. Don't want to get wicked out here. Just so I know what my risk is looking like here. Perfect. Okay. So now we wait for the 5-minute pullback. Again, each time it pulls back, it really just buys up those wicks immediately, which is making getting entry basically almost impossible. Just want to keep adjusting so that my entry, my stops are based off of what the market's showing me currently. Sometimes it's great to just set up your trade, walk away, and let the market do its thing. It's also great that if you can watch it and understand what's happening each minute, every 5 minutes with the market, you can adjust your trade and trade according to what it's telling you, not what it told you 20 minutes ago. Because each minute, each tick, each candle, that gives you so much data. The volume gives you more data, and trading based off of the data you have at hand, in my opinion, will make you a better trader instead of trading off of what you had. And then markets change, things change, news comes out, candles happen, and those candles tell you a story. And if you're not getting the full story each time, you're trading with less knowledge than I guess you could be, is how I view it. Yeah, again, we had really big buy volume there, which makes it really difficult not to just want to buy right here, but I could, and then I'd be risking if we close below here. But with the 5 being so far from this moving average, I don't want to force that, because a lot of times stocks usually like to be near the moving average, and even in a nice uptrend, you love to see space between the uptrend and the moving average, but usually eventually it's going to come back down and touch that at some point, and use that as a support and bounce off of it. It just is really, it's really not cooperating with us today. And honestly, these markets have been tough. March historically is a tough time to trade. So we don't want to force it. We don't want to take bad trades, but we also have to give what the market is giving us. So this may be something that, it's only March 9th now. We're still early into the month of trading. So it may be that this month doesn't exactly give us the pullbacks or the take profits that we're looking for. I know in February, there's been tons of moves that we were watching that would stop just shy of our take profit mark, and that was something we had to adjust to. And towards the end of February, we started moving our take profits just below the exact levels we were looking for, because it would come just shy of those levels and then, either reject or consolidate. So instead of taking then a loss on what should be a winning position, move your take profit down just slightly, take a smaller win than you would be looking for, but still a win is a win, and that's always better than a loss. So I'm gonna give this about 7 more minutes. We'll probably wrap up around 11:30. I'm hoping we can get into a trade here, but it's really looking like it just does not want to give us a good entry. Uh, Pulling back right to where we would almost want it to, and then ripping right back up. So maybe we're being a little too hesitant on our entries here. But again, like I said, we're so far away from that moving average that we don't want to over risk. And the next pullback that we do look at entering could be the 15-minute pullback. And this 15-minute chart has room to pull back all the way down here to this 24,495 previous resistance. So that's the risk you run. But again, always better to follow your strategy, follow your plan than to go one tilt and start buying because everything looks bullish or because somebody on Twitter tells you to. Yeah, so again, that move we were watching from the beginning, where I said that historically, when we've opened red, we've continued to push and recover. That's exactly what's taking place here. We're now pushing into this little gap zone we have. I'm thinking we're gonna go all the way up here to 24,660 probably at minimum. We'll go over to ES, take a look there. Same thing is occurring. We're not as far into this gap yet. We haven't actually hit yesterday's low, but we are just about 2 to 3 points off of that. So now NQ and ES are moving very closely. Our hourly is a great green bullish candle again, bullish engulfing candle. The 15 is continuing to build momentum on the buy side, and the 5 minute is pushing into a new high again. But looking at this 5 minute chart, it's not really a surprise. We didn't get any great trades today. We had straight consolidation. We got a massive gap up, a pullback that really was not actual, not a pullback. We didn't touch previous resistance. We didn't touch a moving average. Get another green candle, a red candle that, I mean, it was really just a pause and then a continuation again on that red candle. Nowhere near the moving average, nowhere near any previous support, previous resistance. There's nothing there for us to base our entry or our stop loss off of. Excuse me. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. We then had 4 green candles, all back to back to back. So there's not much you can do there. There's no entries given by the market. So really, you just have to sit and watch and wait for the next move. And again, like I said, here we are again going and filling this gap. And as much as I'd love to say that I could have just done what I said, and when we have those initial moves, those initial red moves, historically in the past week, 2 weeks, we recover that entire move. And I said that if we do push up either today or tomorrow, we're going to recover this gap and fill that in. And now here we are, filling in that exact gap that I had mentioned. So we were right on overall what the market was going to do. We had the one trade that we mapped out that was, would have been a perfect trade, but again, did not fit our parameters of when we trade, our timing of our trades. We took the one trade that was almost $300 loss, but the move still happened exactly how we were looking. We went and touched that low right after we got wicked out. So overall, I'm not upset at that. That's a loss that I'll take every time. The trade ended up playing out, and getting wicked out by the market and then seeing it hit your take profit still proves you were right on direction. You were reading the markets correctly. Just your timing was a little off. You need to fine tune your entries. So what did we do? We started to be a little more patient, tried to fine tune our entries, and the market made us pay again by not touching any of those entry points and not giving us a solid pullback to enter on. Maybe if we wait and don't take that first trade, our entries for this trade are not as tight and we're able to enter on those. and able to get some profit out of them. But those are things that we can all put into our trading journal and do a daily recap on those. And if you're not journaling your trades, you should probably start because it's the best way to have data on how you trade, how you think as a trader. Anybody who's been trading long enough will tell you that a majority of this, I would say probably 70, maybe even 80% of it is mental, and managing your mental clarity, your mental focus, and your emotions as you're trading. That will take you a long way. And writing that down in the journal will give you clarity on exactly how you're thinking, where your mental's at, where your psychology as a trader's at. And once you trade for, or once you journal and trade for about, a month to 2 months, you're going to have data that a lot of traders will never have on themselves. And that data allows you to reflect and elevate your trading and not make those same mistakes again, which is the only way that, it's a lesson and not just a stupid mistake. So if you took any trades today, make sure you journal them. I'm going to actually hop off the charts here and go do my own journaling. Um, I may post that to my socials. If anybody wants to see what some of these journal entries will look like, what I journal, I could even upload, daily journaling to the Market Insights Trading Trends chat or newsletter. Just let me know in either the comments on this live, the comments on the video that you're watching as a replay, uh, comment on the newsletter, any of my social medias. You can follow me at K2Sync34 on everything. And let me know what you want to see more of. If you want to do some Q&A, if you would rather see, those journal entries. I'm here to help everybody become a better trader. I've been trading for just over or just at 10 years now. Became profitable over the past 2 to 3 years, and started this newsletter almost a year ago to really take my trading to another level and help other traders become more successful and shortcut all of the difficult times that I had those first, honestly, 4 years of trading where I lost tons of money, but it was all worth it because each time you learn a lesson, it makes you a better trader, and that gets you where you are today. So, again, like I said, all you're going to want to watch here is for a good pullback. I'd love to see it touch this moving average we have here, or honestly, anywhere into this zone that maybe was like yesterday's low. They could use that as support. Or if you get a massive one on the 15-minute, would love to see come touch like this pre-market high or down here at the 24,495 zone on NQ. That's what I'll be watching. Again, you can read Market Insights and Trading Trends for free on Substack. We put out 2 free plays plus weekly educational insights. We recap all of our trades from every week and we track it all live on Collective 2. Give that a check out on Substack. And that's all I have for everybody today. So we'll be back not this next Monday, but the Monday after that, doing another live stream. You'll be able to catch us here every other Monday, and hopefully we'll throw in some more live sessions, maybe some live trading from my home. Maybe I'll come on live later if I see a good setup coming on or something. But yeah, that's all I have. Hope everybody has a great trading week. Hopefully we get a little bit better movement the rest of the week. It's looking like at least now we have a good uptrend, something to watch the rest of the trading day, maybe into power hour from 3 to 4. And that's all I have. I'll catch you guys 2 Mondays, or I guess 2 Mondays from now. Yeah.